Hello, I'm Richard McCracken, Director of the Case Centre, the independent home of the Case Method and a not-for-profit educational charity dedicated to supporting the growth, development and impact of the Case Method, case teachers and case writers all around the world. I want to talk today about diversity, equity, inclusion and the Case Method. Our vision for the Case Method is that it is not the Case Method, but a river with many tributaries. None is entire of itself, and each contributes to and nourishes the power of the whole. Its waters flow into the business classrooms of the world, where it nourishes students of all backgrounds, all kinds of lived experience, all levels of attainment. And I want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion for two reasons. Firstly, because it is fair and equitable and inclusive to pay heed. But secondly, because I believe that the Case Method, in its purest and most effective form, has diversity, equity, and inclusion deep in its heart. And anything less than that lessens its effectiveness as a pedagogical approach to management education. It does a disservice both to the Case Method and to students if we do not provide them with cases and approaches to case teaching that reflect their lived experience, but instead reinforce existing stereotypical limitations on their ambitions and aspirations. The Case Method is based upon discussion and questioning, and one cannot have discussion without diversions and disagreement. Divergence of opinion, of experience, of imagination, of the perception of lives lived and shaped in different circumstances, and of business settings of all types, sizes, and sectors. So when we speak of diversity, equity, and inclusion and the Case Method, we must begin by this recognition that case writing, case teaching, case learning, in short, the Case Method itself, can only be improved by recognizing their centrality. Think of a case. Which case is more likely to set alight a profound discussion and learning experience? A case that embodies and sets establishment power structures that favor straight white men? Or a case that features protagonists, scenarios, locations, industries that capture the lived experience of diverse business practitioners and the diversity of our students? Think of a case discussion. Which is more dynamic, productive, a deeper learning experience? One which stimulates only a limited and pretty uniform range of responses from students? Or one in which the teacher is confident in addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion in their facilitation of the discussion, welcoming the sharing of a broad range of experience, analysis, and opinion, in which contributions are diverse and divergent, students are equal participants, and each individual feels totally included. The comparison is often made in talking about lectures in the Case Method that the Case Method is much more dynamic and stimulates higher student engagement than lectures do, which are often seen as static and less engaging. I have to say that I'm not fully convinced by that. Like all of us, I have been in lectures where a dynamic and charismatic presenter has had an overcrowded lecture theatre spellbound and enthralled. Is that not also student engagement? A more useful contrast, I think, is in how questions impact in the two very different settings. In lectures, questions, generally speaking, tend to be used to clarify understanding of the speaker's proposition or argument. That is, their net impact tends towards congruence. In case discussion, on the other hand, questions, generally speaking, encourage students to identify points of divergence, differences of opinion and emphasis, points of view, lived experience, whether of life or of business. That is, they tend towards diversity. And yet the case teacher, as a facilitator, conducts the session in a spirit of equality. Everyone has an equal voice, and inclusion. Everyone has something to contribute. No one is entire of themselves. Each individual contributes to the whole. That is lived expression of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if the case method is a river whose ecology is at its best, is most free-flowing, and delivers most nutrition when it pays heed to the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion, what are we doing to make that happen? I'm excited by the degree to which these issues are being tackled by case publishing schools, writers, and teachers around the world, and by recent work we've been doing to support the Case Compendium initiative coming out of the Center for Equity, Gender and Leadership at Berkeley Haas School of Business, making it easier for case teachers to identify and source cases that best support diversity, equity, and inclusion in their case teaching. We are making it easier to search for cases in our catalogue using diversity, equity, and inclusion identifiers, and are encouraging all case writers and case publishers to do the same. In our workshops, conference, professional development sessions, and through our awards and case writing scholarships, we are supporting new and diverse case writers writing from different backgrounds and experiences, and are encouraging all case writers to represent positive, diverse protagonists, challenge those stereotypes that narrow rather than open up discussion, and include people, sectors, businesses of all kinds that break fresh ground and reflect the lives and future careers of students. We have compiled a resources page on our website supporting case writers and case teachers, embedding diversity, equity, and inclusion in their work. And most of all, we are committed to acknowledging that we have much to learn. This is a journey and not yet a destination. We commit to never stepping into the same river twice.